Chosen one, pause for a moment and listen with your heart, because this message is not meant for everyone. It is meant for the soul that walked gently, trusted Allah deeply, and still became a target simply for carrying light. There are people who thought they could test you, use you, manipulate you, delay you, or break you, not realizing they were stepping into a divine equation they could never control, because you were never walking alone. You were being guided, guarded, and positioned by Allah every step of the way. They mistook your patience for weakness, your silence for fear, and your mercy for permission. And in doing so, they activated a process where Allah Himself became your defender, your witness, and your justice. What you are about to hear are not just lessons, but signs, proof that when someone messes with a divinely guided earth angel, they don't destroy the chosen one, they expose themselves. Chosen one. Understand this deeply, because this is where their downfall truly began. Allah deliberately concealed your strength beneath humility, dressed your authority in gentleness, and veiled your wisdom with silence, so that only those with sincere hearts could recognize your true rank, while those driven by arrogance, envy, or manipulation would misjudge you completely. They looked at your calm tone and assumed weakness, saw your patience and thought you were unaware, noticed your kindness and believed you were easily controlled, never realizing that humility is not the absence of power, but the discipline of someone who knows exactly who they are before Allah, and therefore has nothing to prove before people. Allah taught you to lower your ego so He could raise your station, to stay quiet so truth could speak louder through outcomes, and to walk softly so others would expose themselves freely, because when a person believes you are insignificant, they reveal intentions they would otherwise hide. And this is how Allah allows deception to surface without you ever needing to confront it. They spoke carelessly around you, plotted openly against you, crossed boundaries without fear, and underestimated the consequences of their actions, not knowing that Allah was observing every word, every intention, every hidden motive, and every act of disrespect, while you remained composed, grounded, and aligned with sincerity. Your humility disarmed them, your silence disoriented them, and your refusal to engage in ego battles confused them, because they were used to measuring strength by volume, dominance, and control, while Allah was measuring you by sincerity, restraint, and trust in Him. What they failed to understand is that Allah gives humility to His most protected servants, not to make them small, but to keep them safe from arrogance and to let divine justice unfold without interference. And so, when the tables turned, when truths emerged, when doors closed on them and opened for you, when their schemes collapsed under their own weight, they were left shocked, wondering how someone they dismissed so easily could stand untouched while they fell into confusion, loss, and regret. In reality, you never needed to defend yourself, announce your worth, or expose anyone, because Allah wrapped your power in humility so perfectly that they walked straight into their own downfall, proving once again that when Allah is the one elevating you, being underestimated is not a disadvantage, it is divine strategy. Chosen one, understand this deeply, because this lesson explains why they ultimately played themselves the moment they confused your mercy with weakness, not realizing that mercy is one of the strongest signs of divine alignment, for you were fully aware of the disrespect, the manipulation, the betrayal, and the quiet harm being done behind your back, yet you chose restraint over reaction, forgiveness over revenge, and dignity over chaos, not because you lacked power, but because your heart was anchored in tawakkul, complete trust in Allah. And when a servant hands their pain, anger, and right to retaliate back to Allah, he does not remain neutral. He becomes al-Wakil, the ultimate defender, and this is where they miscalculated you completely, because they assumed that since you did not expose them, confront them, or fight back publicly, you must be unaware, afraid, or incapable, when in reality you were protected by a higher system of justice that does not announce itself early. They continued crossing boundaries, escalating disrespect, and testing limits, thinking they were getting away with it, not realizing Allah was recording every word, every intention, every hidden motive, and every moment of arrogance, while you remained calm, composed, and spiritually guarded. And what they failed to understand is that Allah loves the servant who controls their nafs for His sake, so He takes the matter personally, rearranging events in ways no human could predict, turning allies into liabilities, exposing lies without your involvement, removing people from positions they once abused, and placing them in situations where they taste the very confusion, fear, and loss they once tried to inflict on you. Your mercy did not protect them from consequences, it delayed them, giving them time to either repent or self-destruct. And many chose the latter, proving that when someone mistakes mercy for weakness, Allah ensures the lesson is severe, silent, and unforgettable, while you walk away elevated, unburdened, and vindicated without ever dirtying your hands. Chosen one, some people never hated you personally. They hated the growth Allah placed upon you because they were comfortable benefiting from your light as long as it stayed small enough to serve them, guide them, support them, or make them feel secure. But the moment Allah expanded your awareness, strengthened your boundaries, and elevated your position beyond their reach, their admiration quietly transformed into resentment. Instead of thanking Allah for your growth, they began competing with you, diminishing you, gossiping about you, or subtly trying to clip your wings, forgetting that light does not shrink to satisfy insecure hearts. And so, every jealous glance, every passive attack, and every hidden ill intention became a witness against them, while Allah continued increasing you in clarity, discernment, and favor, proving that those who resent Allah's blessings upon others are not harmed by the chosen one. They are harmed by their refusal to purify their own hearts. Chosen one, understand this truth with every fiber of your soul, for it is one of the clearest demonstrations of divine protection and the futility of human schemes against someone whom Allah Himself shields. The moment they decided to come against you, whether through mockery, plotting, manipulation, gossip, silent jealousy, or direct confrontation, they did not step into a battle with a mere human being. They stepped unknowingly into the fortress of Allah's guardianship, a fortress invisible to human eyes, yet impenetrable to every scheme, deceit, or hidden agenda. They assumed victory because they measured power through visible action, influence through intimidation, and control through noise and presence. But they failed to recognize that the strength of the chosen one is often concealed, silent, and unfathomable, wrapped in patience, humility, and unwavering reliance on the Most High. And while they acted confidently, thinking that your silence, restraint, and focus were weakness, Allah was actively protecting every aspect of your existence in ways they could never perceive, guarding your heart from bitterness, your intentions from corruption, your tongue from sin, your reputation from lies, your opportunities from sabotage, and your destiny from premature exposure. For Allah's protection is precise, unseen, and perfectly timed. Every trap they set, every whisper they spread, every manipulation they attempted, every alliance they formed to corner you, collapsed before it even reached its mark, often in ways so subtle and untraceable that the casual observer would never realize divine intervention had occurred. And yet the chosen one felt the outcome as smooth, timely, and unshakable, because Allah works quietly, orchestrating circumstances in the unseen so that the light of His servant is never dimmed, the path is never blocked, and the soul is never corrupted by the schemes of the arrogant. They thought they could provoke a reaction, lure you into confrontation, or manipulate your decisions, but every attempt to destabilize you revealed their own intentions, exposed their arrogance, and magnified the futility of their efforts. Because when Allah guards a servant, the enemy's every move becomes a tool for clarity, refinement, and elevation, and what they believed was chaos for you became a lesson in patience, discernment, and unwavering trust, allowing your heart to grow stronger, your focus sharper, and your vision clearer, while they were consumed by their own actions, trapped in their impatience, greed, envy, and misjudgments, and every attempt to harm you bounced back in ways invisible, yet undeniable. For the one who protects cannot be outsmarted by deception or intimidation. And understand this, chosen one, the protection of Allah is not passive, it is dynamic, interactive, and perfectly responsive, turning every attack into an instrument of purification, every insult into a vehicle of elevation, every betrayal into a revelation of truth, and every plot into an undeniable testimony that when the most merciful intervenes, the one who was never meant to be broken walks forward with unshakable peace, clarity, and divine favor, while those who sought to harm them are left bewildered, exposed, and consumed by the consequences of their own hands, unable to comprehend how someone so patient, quiet, and seemingly ordinary could emerge stronger, elevated, and untouchable. And in this lies the eternal lesson for every chosen one. The silence that others mistake for weakness is actually the armor of the divinely guarded. The restraint that others mistake for fear is actually the mark of those who trust Allah fully. The patience that others mistake for indecision is actually the preparation of a soul being fortified for destiny, and the light that others attempt to extinguish is actually the evidence of a protection so complete that every move against it only exposes the attacker, magnifies their failure, and manifests Allah's justice in the most undeniable, precise, and breathtaking way, proving once again that when Allah guards a soul, no plot can touch it, no curse can reach it, no manipulation can succeed, and no enemy can prevail, except by exposing themselves completely to the world, leaving the chosen one elevated, protected, purified, and fully aligned with divine decree. And this, chosen one, is not theory, it is reality, witnessed in the outcomes of those who attempted to harm you, countered at every turn by Allah's perfect guardianship, and leaving no doubt that true power, protection, and victory always belong to the divinely guided, chosen one. Take a deep breath and let this settle in your heart. For one of the greatest lessons in your journey is understanding how divine timing works, especially when those who oppose you think they are cleverer, faster, or stronger than you. They believe that by closing doors, delaying opportunities, creating obstacles or manipulating circumstances. They could hinder your rise, control your path, or diminish your influence. But what they failed to grasp is that every pause, every denial, every delay was orchestrated by Allah to refine you, purify your heart, test your patience, and expand your capacity beyond what they could ever imagine, because Allah never elevates His chosen without fortifying them first. And what seems like waiting, stagnation, or setback is often a preparation phase where the soul is trained in sabr, the heart in reliance, and the mind in discernment, while they, blinded by their ego, assumed victory and underestimated the invisible forces shaping your destiny. They celebrated prematurely when you were overlooked, mocked your silence, and mistook your patience for indecision, not knowing that Allah was removing you from toxic people, dangerous environments, and opportunities that were not yet aligned with His plan, shielding you from premature exposure, unready responsibilities, and blessings that, if received too early, could have destabilized your path, because divine timing is precise, measured, and protective, and no human interference can alter it. No matter how elaborate their schemes, they rushed outcomes, forced results, compromised principles, and manipulated situations, thinking they could outsmart life, not realizing that impatience never produces stability, and that success built outside of Allah's timing is fragile, temporary, and empty, lacking the barakah that turns effort into legacy. And while they exhausted themselves, exposed their weaknesses, and revealed their impatience, you were quietly growing, aligning, and expanding in ways invisible to them, developing wisdom, resilience, and trust that cannot be shaken. And every delay you endured was not a punishment, but a divine calibration of your soul, designed to prepare you for influence, responsibility, and authority that will last, because Allah knows the weight of what you are meant to carry and refuses to let you bear it prematurely. As they raced ahead, believing themselves victorious, they were unknowingly laying bare their arrogance, envy, and lack of trust in Allah, for they measured reality by appearances, not by the unseen decrees that govern the lives of the chosen, while you measured reality by the truth in your heart, the guidance of Allah, and the clarity of your purpose, understanding that alignment with divine will is more powerful than speed, more enduring than advantage, and more transformative than recognition. While they schemed and rushed, Allah was quietly positioning you, placing people, circumstances, resources, and opportunities in perfect order, allowing your rise to be smooth, permanent, and unstoppable, while theirs was chaotic, unstable, and fleeting. And when your moment finally arrived, it did not come with confusion, desperation, or compromise, but with clarity, authority, confidence, and divine support, because you had learned patience, reliance, and integrity, while they had learned impatience, manipulation, and futility. And in that contrast, the truth became undeniable. They were never ahead of you, they were never delaying you, they were merely revealing themselves and their own limitations, and what they thought was strategy and control was actually exposure and self-destruction, because when someone attempts to outsmart the chosen, they are actually entering a realm where only Allah moves the pieces, where timing is sacred, where every obstacle is purposeful, and where every delay is a preparation for unshakable elevation. Their arrogance, pride, and haste could not compete with your alignment, and every premature celebration, every mocking remark, and every attempt to manipulate reality became a testament to the perfection of Allah's plan, the wisdom of divine timing, and the power of tawakkul, proving beyond doubt that when someone thinks they can interfere with a divinely guided soul, they are actually dancing on the edges of their own destruction, while you, patient, steady, and aligned, walk untouched, empowered, and exalted, fully aware that nothing in the universe can move against what Allah has decreed. And every delay, every closed door, every apparent setback was never a loss, but a divine elevation, a training of your spirit, a fortification of your heart, and a preparation for the triumph that could only arrive in perfect timing, leaving those who sought to outsmart you confused, frustrated, and exposed, while you emerged with clarity, integrity, and unwavering faith, fully equipped to step into the destiny Allah had prepared for you from the beginning. Chosen one, contemplate this truth deeply, for it is the hallmark of the divinely guided that every attempt to manipulate, deceive, or mislead them does not weaken their light, but instead illuminates the darkness of those who try, revealing what is hidden in their hearts and what they cannot conceal from Allah or from the world. And understand that when people sought to corrupt you, they thought they were clever, calculating, and capable, but they did not realize that the one they were attempting to harm is not defined by human standards, cannot be swayed by false narratives, and cannot be ensnared by the schemes of those whose hearts are chained by ego, envy, and arrogance. They believed that by sowing confusion, creating division, spreading lies, or testing your patience, they could pull you away from your purpose, diminish your influence, or make you compromise your integrity. Yet every effort they made only magnified their own weakness, exposing their moral failures, their inner corruption, and the futility of their intentions, because Allah shields the sincere. And when a soul is chosen and guided by Him, no force, no deception, and no manipulation can penetrate the walls built by sincerity, trust, and divine protection. And while they plotted and maneuvered in darkness, Allah orchestrated circumstances in ways they could never comprehend, subtly rearranging events, shifting alliances, revealing truths, and turning every attempt against you into evidence of their own deceit and arrogance, so that in the process of trying to dominate your reality, they were the ones who became trapped in consequences, misjudgments, and confusion, and every word they uttered, every step they took, every plan they believed was secret, became a mirror, reflecting not your flaws but their own, leaving them vulnerable to exposure, humiliation, and the natural justice of Allah. And as you walked forward with patience, humility, and reliance, silently trusting the unseen and submitting to the will of your Lord, they grew louder, more reckless, more desperate, and increasingly exposed, because nothing frustrates falsehood more than integrity that cannot be corrupted, silence that cannot be provoked, and light that refuses to be dimmed by darkness. They attempted to distort your reputation, manipulate perceptions, and confuse others around you, but every miscalculation they made, every exaggeration they told, every act of deceit they carried out, only highlighted their own instability, lack of wisdom, and spiritual deficiency, while your heart remained untouched, your faith deepened, and your clarity sharpened, proving that the strongest defense of the chosen is not confrontation but divine alignment, and the most powerful retribution is the natural exposure of those who oppose Allah's will. For when you are truly guided, Every attempt to harm you becomes a lesson for the aggressor, a demonstration of divine order, and a warning to others that the light of Allah cannot be diminished by human hands. And in their failure, they revealed everything they had hoped to conceal. Their insecurities, their ambitions, their envy, their greed, their impatience, their false courage, their lack of foresight, and their inability to distinguish between what is truly powerful and what merely appears so in their limited perception. And as you continued in patience, prayer, and obedience, the contrast became undeniable. Their chaos exposed, their misjudgments apparent, their hearts transparent, while your path remained steady, your vision clear, and your soul aligned with the Most High. And in this divine orchestration, it was never necessary for you to react, retaliate, or prove yourself, because Allah's protection is absolute, and His plan for the chosen one unfolds perfectly and completely, leaving no room for human interference, only divine revelation. And when the dust settled, the reality became crystal clear. They could not corrupt you, they could not mislead you, they could not shake you, and they could not claim victory, because every effort against you became a testimony against themselves, a record of their failure, and a reflection of their true nature. And the final, most profound lesson is that the chosen one's strength is measured not in opposition, but in alignment, not in retaliation, but in steadfastness, not in control of others, but in obedience to Allah. And those who tried to manipulate you are left only with exposure, regret, confusion, and the undeniable truth that when someone is divinely guided, no human effort can obscure their purpose, derail their destiny, or dim the light that Allah Himself has placed in their soul. For the ultimate victory of the chosen is not in defeating those who oppose them, but in remaining pure, faithful, and unwavering, while Allah ensures that the very people who attempted to corrupt them reveal themselves fully, leaving behind a trail of lessons, signs, and divine justice that confirms the reality of Allah's protection, the power of divine timing, and the futility of opposing what Allah has decreed. And chosen one, know this with certainty: your integrity, your patience, your obedience, and your unwavering faith have done more than preserve you. They have unveiled the truth about those who sought to harm you, and in their exposure, Allah has magnified your light, elevated your status, and demonstrated in the most undeniable way that when they failed to corrupt you, they only succeeded in exposing the depth of their own darkness, while your soul continues to ascend, untouched, aligned, and glorified in the sight of the most merciful, leaving no doubt that divine guidance is the ultimate shield, and no human scheme can overcome the one whom Allah has chosen and protected. Chosen one, understand this with the depth of your soul, for this is the culmination of every divine test, every trial, and every moment you were underestimated, overlooked, or opposed. Those who tried to manipulate you, sabotage your path, or diminish your presence did so thinking they could outsmart, overpower, or deceive a human being. Yet they failed to grasp the most fundamental reality that you are not walking alone, and the light that Allah has placed in your soul is not subject to human hands, human plans, or human whims. They assumed that their strategies, their lies, their networks, and their whispered conspiracies could prevail against someone like you, someone whose heart beats in alignment with divine guidance, whose patience is a shield, whose sincerity is a fortress, and whose reliance on Allah is unshakable. And while they were busy playing what they believed to be the game of control, Allah was orchestrating outcomes invisible to their eyes, redirecting circumstances, severing toxic ties, exposing hidden agendas, and allowing every action they took to rebound upon themselves in ways that were precise, just, and undeniable. They thought that by undermining your reputation, spreading rumors, inciting jealousy, or creating false narratives, they could diminish your influence. Yet each of their moves became a self-revealing testament to their arrogance, ignorance, and spiritual blindness, because Allah does not allow His chosen to be harmed unjustly, and when someone is divinely guided, their light acts as both a shield and a beacon, protecting them while illuminating the true nature of those who oppose them, and their exposure is not a matter of chance. It is divine orchestration, a demonstration of Allah's perfect justice, and a sign to the world that anyone who attempts to interfere with the destined path of the chosen will always falter, no matter how clever, powerful, or confident they think they are. They miscalculated because they measured you by human standards, unaware that the unseen realm responds to Allah's servants, that unseen forces work in alignment with sincerity, and that the protection of the Most Merciful cannot be countered by human deceit, manipulation, or aggression. So every attempt they made to control, frighten, or derail you only reflected back upon themselves, revealing envy where they tried to mask admiration, weakness where they tried to feign strength, and failure where they tried to claim authority. And while they exposed their hearts, their intentions, and their inability to grasp the truth, your soul remained steadfast, unshaken, and radiant. Because Allah's guidance is not temporary, conditional, or fragile, it is eternal, precise, and unstoppable. They played themselves because they refused to acknowledge that divine intervention always supersedes human scheming, that the one whom Allah chooses is untouchable in matters that belong to Him, and that no conspiracy, no manipulation, no alliance, and no falsehood can alter the destiny He has written, and this is the most profound lesson for the chosen ones. When people oppose you, fight against you, or attempt to derail you, it is not a sign of your weakness, it is a reflection of their failure, their exposure, and the inevitable consequences of opposing Allah's plan, and it is proof that your light is protected, amplified, and defended by the Most Merciful in ways that no human power can penetrate, undermine, or extinguish. Understand that every attack, every plot, every betrayal that was aimed at you became a tool in Allah's hands to clarify reality, purify hearts, and distinguish truth from falsehood, and in witnessing their collapse, confusion, and exposure, you are not only reassured of your own protection, but are reminded of the greatness of divine justice, the precision of Allah's timing, and the power of surrendering fully to Him. While they tried to manipulate, you remained guided. While they tried to instill fear, you remained steadfast. While they tried to block your path, Allah cleared it. And as the dust settled, it became abundantly clear that their attempts were not only futile, but self-destructive, leaving them humbled, exposed, and trapped by the very actions they believed would give them control, while you emerged stronger, wiser, and more aligned with your divine purpose, proving that when Allah defends His light, no darkness can succeed, no enemy can prevail, and no scheme can stand. And this is the eternal truth for every chosen one. The protection of Allah is absolute. The elevation He grants is secure. and those who attempt to interfere with the divinely guided will always end up playing themselves, falling into the traps they laid for others, and becoming a living testimony to the power, justice, and mercy of the Most High, leaving you to continue walking in light, purpose, and unwavering faith, fully confident that the one who has placed you on this path will defend, preserve, and elevate you until every deception is exposed, every trial completed, and every heart aligned with truth. And in this lies the ultimate victory, peace, and clarity that only the chosen experience. Because when Allah defends His light, no human hand can alter the outcome, and the final lesson is unmistakable. Those who tried to harm you will always reveal themselves, while you remain untouchable, unshakable, and gloriously protected in the presence of the most merciful, chosen one. As you reflect on these 7 powerful lessons, remember this: every trial you endured, every betrayal you faced, every attempt to manipulate or harm you was never wasted. It was a divine test, a lesson in patience, a purification of your heart, and a sign that Allah is actively protecting, guiding, and elevating you. Those who tried to oppose you did not break you. They revealed themselves, exposed their own darkness, and played themselves in the presence of your divinely appointed light. Your silence, your mercy, your patience, and your faith were never weaknesses. They were the armor of the chosen, the proof of Allah's unseen protection, and the very reason their schemes failed. Keep walking with humility, but also with awareness, because your light is rare, your purpose is sacred, and your journey is divinely authored. Trust that Allah sees everything, the unseen, the overlooked, the intentions no one else notices, and that He multiplies your reward, protects your soul, and ensures that every wrong done against you is accounted for in ways humans cannot comprehend. So rise in faith, continue in patience, embrace your path, and let every exposure, every triumph, every moment of divine alignment remind you that you are among the chosen, and that when Allah stands with you, no force can prevail against you. Share this message with those who need to hear it. Reflect on it deeply, and always remember, the protection of Allah is absolute. The light He gives cannot be dimmed, and those who attempt to harm the chosen will always play themselves, while you continue walking, shining, and fulfilling the purpose He created you for.